For 6.5, we are going to just kind of look at it briefly. It's not going to be something you're actually quizzed on or tested on at any point for me in this class, but I do want you just to kind of be aware of some basic stuff in 6.5. So 6.5 is to graph square root and cube root functions. Okay, so with this, okay, I'm just going to show you kind of what the parent functions look like, just let you see that. And I'll tell you, they shift the same way that all of our other functions do. So if you need to look at that, you can. I'll just kind of make you aware of it, and that's about all that we will do with that as far as I'm concerned. So for this, okay, we have, let's see what the parent functions look like. So the parent functions for both, and let's see. So the first one, the parent function for the family of square root functions is f of x is equal to the square root of x. Okay, so that's what the parent function looks like. So graphed, let's just show really quickly what that actually looks like here. So we get our coordinate axis, and we'll just go up to about 3 in the positive direction, and I don't know, we'll go out to like 5 here. So we have, it always starts at the origin, okay, because keep in mind, when we have square root functions, we can't have negative numbers. So it starts at the origin always, because the square root of 0 is 0. Okay, next point, the square root of 1 is 1. Okay, so that's the 0.11. The square root of 4 is 2. Okay, so this would be 4, 2. Okay, so just so you can kind of see and you get the feel for where this is going. So you could graph these purely by just plugging in numbers, which if you were to ever actually get one from me like that, that would be the easiest way to do it. But like I said, I'm not actually going to quiz you on this stuff. So just up and over, okay, and it just kind of keeps going up like that, but that's all it looks like there. Now, it's not to say that these never get reflected or something like that, but overall, okay, these occur up here, and the one that I'm mainly worried about you seeing is this up here for this parent function. And we briefly discussed domain and range in the last section just a little bit, so just so you're aware, not that I think this is going to come up ever for you, or at least not for a while, but the domain of a square root function, x has to be greater than or equal to 0. I think you already knew that. And thus the range, y also has to be greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so that means the parent function, like I said, they can be reflected and stuff like that, just like all of our other functions, but overall, that's the case. So, the parent function for the family of cube root functions is g of x equal to the cube root of x. So, for the cube root, okay, we have, again, coordinate plane drawn here, and we'll just say let's go out to just like 4 on each side. 4, 2, 3, 4. And top to bottom, we'll just go with 3. Okay, we're just eyeballing this here, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so when x is 0, g of x is 0, or y is 0. When x is 1, y is 1. When x is negative 1, y is negative 1. Okay, so we have 0, 0. We have negative 1, negative 1. Sorry, that's really hard to see there. Negative 1, negative 1. And up here we have 1, 1. So when you do these kind of just look like this, which if you remember when we did a cube function, it kind of looked a little bit like that, but it was kind of just like flipped. This is the inverse function of a cubed function, okay? And this is the inverse of a squared function, but keeping in mind that we can't have the negative side of it. Okay, so that kind of just jumps back a little bit to 6.4 stuff. But that's really all you have to know for that. Domain and range. Domain and range are all real numbers. And remember, typically we write that as that fancy R there for that. So like I said, if you were to actually shift it, they do follow the same pattern as all of the other ones that we do. So I'm just going to give you those steps, and that'll be all for this section. So graphs of radical functions. To graph y is equal to a times the square root of x minus h plus k, and that plus k is outside the radical, or y is equal to a times the cube root of x minus h plus k. Follow these steps. Okay, so first we always want to, for step 1, we want to sketch the graph of y is equal to a times the square root of x, or y is equal to a times the cube root of x. Okay, so we want to do the parent functions first, being multiplied by a, and then lastly, sorry, this marker's kind of dying. Step 2, last step, we want to translate, okay, or a fancy word for shift the graph horizontally h units and vertically k units. Okay, so following the same pattern that we had in all the rest of the sections when we did shifting and stuff like that. Okay, where it was like we moved it left so many units, we moved it right so many units, up so many, down so many. Okay, so remember it follows the directions of the signs when it's outside. So this would cause it to move up. Okay, this would have caused it to move right because it's opposite the direction of the sign. Okay, again, that's more or less just a refresher, and that's all you have to do with this section is watch this video and just understand what these two parent functions look like here. Okay, so square root and cube root. Just know what they look like. Be familiar with them in case they come up on an SAT or something like that. And you will see them a little bit in pre-cal and somewhat in calculus, not a ton, but you will briefly see them. So, like I said, that's all for this section, so enjoy not having to do any work for this section.